Bellwright. Kicking things off with Bellwright. Honestly, this might be the most solid medieval survival game out there right now. Picture this, you're some poor schmuck, wrongfully accused of murdering the prince. You make your escape and come back to lead a rebellion against the tyrannical king. Your main gig? Building up a village. Fair warning though, the game involves a lot of grinding, constant resource gathering, crafting, and tech tree research. Combat's pretty sparse but brutal when it happens. Seriously, even a random boar can wreck you early on. That's why you gotta prioritize researching new gear, crafting it, and kitting yourself and your AI companions out ASAP. You recruit villagers from settlements, each one specializes in a single job like weaver, carpenter, woodcutter, you name it. You hire them using renown points, earned from fighting or doing quests. Food is a huge deal here. Better quality meals mean bigger buffs, more health, and more stamina for you and your crew. Oh, and capturing neutral villages and then defending them? That's core gameplay. You really gotta manage your people smartly. Some stay back to hunt, craft, gather, and guard the base, while others are out there raiding and expanding. All in all, it's pretty darn cool. Manor Lords. Next up, the legendary Manor Lords. This game started out super barebones, but undeniably gorgeous. It basically turned its solo developer into a millionaire overnight. Well, maybe not totally overnight, there had to be something special there, right? Everyone got hyped and loved it at launch, leaving tons of positive reviews. It truly is a gem in the world of economic strategy games. This isn't just copying the competition, it's clearly a passion project built by a dedicated, seriously skilled enthusiast. There are so many mechanics you wouldn't expect, but they just make it better. Like, actually equipping and crafting armor for your retinue. Awesome. Visually, it's stunning. Your town looks completely different from a bird's eye view versus walking around at ground level, both perspectives are really engaging. You see a woman drawing water from the well, a trader cart heading to the market square, a blacksmith forging swords in a wealthy household's yard. It's beautiful. And what's really satisfying? This city builder actually has decent combat now. They've added more since launch. Plus, the game's gotten some solid upgrades over the past year since release. Farthest Frontier. Another option for your medieval city building fix, Farthest Frontier. This game really nails that living in a frontier village vibe. It's a pure city building sim. You start small, and your goal is basically to turn this little settlement into a thriving town, like some kind of medieval big shot. Don't be surprised when bears wander through your pearl of a town, smashing up houses looking for food. Wolves, boars, bandits, all kinds of critters and threats are out there. What I'm saying is, this builder is surprisingly tough. It demands your attention, but it also has this relaxing, cozy atmosphere that pulls you in. The developers seem to have found the perfect recipe to grab you and keep you hooked. It starts simple, but the difficulty ramps up naturally as your town grows. You'll hit moments where everything feels like it's about to collapse, your people are threatening to pack up and leave, then suddenly, your efforts pay off, and you're back on top, cruising along. It's a constant emotional roller coaster. And visually, it's absolutely beautiful, easily on par with Manor Lords. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Did anyone really think we'd skip this legend? Of course not. Get ready for Henry, or if you prefer, Jindrik, racing all over the place trying to find that scoundrel Jan Tocek while he's off chasing skirts. This game delivers the ultimate medieval life experience. We're talking a massive, open world packed with secrets and tons of quests. You'll get into large-scale battles and small-time brawls, fighting with swords or just your fists. Steal horses, hang out with gypsies, fight in nightly tournaments, flirt with ladies, rob people, get thrown in jail, face persecution, the whole medieval shebang. I won't spoil the story, but trust me, it's a huge step up from the first game, way more interesting, bigger, and more epic. If the first game's strength was the gameplay and side content, the sequel seriously leveled up the main story too. You get funny moments, epic battles that give you chills, investigations, there are even parts that'll make grown men cry, no joke. Hands down one of the best games this year. Crusader Kings 3. Finally, Crusader Kings 3. This is the grand strategy game you can literally lose yourself in forever. Think Sims 5, but strictly for dudes, set in the medieval era. It's another endless strategy game, focused entirely on your dynasty. Your game only ends if every single one of your potential heirs bites the dust. The magic here is that the game creates the stories. This isn't like The Witcher with its predefined Geralt, and it's definitely not Fallout with its illusion of choices. Kidding, Fallout didn't really have those either. Here, you write your own saga about your jarls and craft your own epics about your kings. And thanks to a mix of random and scripted events, these stories feel both believable and wildly entertaining. The game is incredibly engaging. There's always something to do, it never gets boring and constantly throws surprises your way. The only real downside, and it's a big one, is the learning curve. I personally tried starting 5 separate times before everything finally clicked. Only on that last try did I manage to sink a good couple dozen hours into it properly. Your main quest. Figuring out the interface and understanding everything happening on screen. It's dense. Really dense. But once you get past that, you're literally playing Game of Thrones. Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. If you can't be bothered to learn the lore but still crave that Game of Thrones feel, Mount & Blade 2 is your game. Yeah, the story. Let's be honest, it's pretty terrible. Practically non-existent. But the world? It lives and breathes on its own. The real fun is wreaking havoc across the land with your powerful army and a ton of loyal vassals at your back. The coolest part? A massive downloadable content expansion is supposed to drop this year. And what's it bringing? You guessed it, naval battles. I talked about this over on GameLike, where you can basically find daily gaming news like this. Plus leaks, announcements, and all the most interesting stuff from the gaming world. If you're not subscribed yet, seriously, what are you waiting for? Links in the description. Now, these naval battles were originally supposed to launch on June 17th, but it's already July and they're still MIA. The developers pushed it back, and it looks like they're aiming for a fall release. So, my recommendation. Use the time to conquer the whole darn continent of Coradia. That way you'll be all set to have some fun welcoming enemies sailing in from across the sea. Wartales. Wartales, sometimes called Wartales, is another game with a similar living world setup. Though here, you're not building an armada, you're assembling a band of hardworking mercenaries. You take this crew out into the open world to clash with enemies. And that includes both land and sea, because the developers here already delivered naval combat, no waiting required. The game's made by Shiro Games, and these guys know their strategy stuff. Dune Spice Wars, Northgard. All proof of that. Their game Wartales lets you command up to 50 fighters simultaneously on the battlefield. And the number of classes and types of units you control goes into the dozens. Gameplay is all about constantly developing your troop and gradually evolving your tactics and strategy in every encounter. Yes, this is a rare turn-based game where a single battle demands both tactical and strategic thinking. You might find yourself managing 2 or even 3 separate tactical squads at once, each with its own combat objectives and fighting style. That's pretty wild, right? It's like having mini-squads within your squad. Crucially, every single one of your characters is mortal. If a mercenary dies, they're gone for good. Time to hire a new one. And that brings me to the first major point. Right. Secondly, besides the fantastic combat, the game has an equally deep crafting system. This system makes you truly live within the world, where 90% of the gear in your inventory can, and should, be crafted by you. You'll upgrade your camp, master different crafts, and constantly discover and utilize new features. All in all, it's an excellent game. Chivalry 2. Okay, next up is Chivalry 2. This is basically the go-to spot for screaming maniacs and armored knights trying to crack each other open. It's bloody, beautiful, incredibly fast-paced, and totally immersive. Especially when a bunch of crazies in the background are yelling something supposedly inspiring. First thing you gotta know, until July 10th, you can grab it with a massive 80% discount, basically pennies. Second crucial point, if you're a newbie buying this game, do not take it seriously. Want to actually enjoy it? Accept right now that the process is the point. Don't compete. Don't chase some epic result. Don't even try too hard to fight properly. Honestly, most battles are just chaotic, messy scrums, a total blur of action. Forget about fancy moves, it's like a real medieval brawl. If you try to take it seriously from the start, you'll just constantly rage at your own failures. You'll get furious at idiot teammates who refuse to stand on the objective. You'll rage at enemies suddenly pouring around a corner and stomping you instantly. You'll rage at the combat system's jank, at bugs, at not even being able to jump onto a simple rock. In short, well, it's a blast. Solid game. Medieval Dynasty. Alright, the Dynasty series, yeah, it's a whole thing now, is pretty cool overall. Medieval Dynasty is the first and definitely the most polished of these types of games. It came out earlier, and honestly, it's much easier to figure out what to do here. It's essentially your medieval village simulator. Your quest. Simulate, obviously. Simulate a family, simulate professions, simulate wars, and simulate a ton of other stuff you'd find in the medieval world. It looks genuinely gorgeous now, and the detail level is impressive. Just the farming mechanics alone are worth checking out. Plus, right now, the devs are going all in and overhauling the combat system, capital C, combat. They've added different bandit camps scattered around the map. You can actually raid these camps with your workers and capture them. Visually, the combat now feels like a mix of mount and amp, blade and the chivalry we just talked about. Honestly, it's good. Really good here. Definitely the most unique game in this lineup. Yes, Your Grace 2, Snowfall. Okay, first off, this visual masterpiece is the only pixel art game in the whole list. And these pixels. They put half the games running on Unreal Engine 5 to shame. It's beautiful. I'd probably recommend playing the first one more, honestly, it feels more complete, but hey, everyone loves jumping into the latest sequel, right? So, part 2 it is. Your quest, same as before, is to make your kingdom thrive. And just like before, you're absolutely going to fail spectacularly at it. You play a king, but you're basically a pushover that any random peasant can steamroll. A bunch of filthy rabble can kick you out of your own castle, and your mighty king will just grovel and make pathetic attempts to buy them off. Your advisor will casually discuss how your queen might be unfaithful. A prisoner under your roof will insult you to your face with zero consequences. Some random con artist who shows up begging for help and gets turned down, will act like he's your childhood buddy just messing with you. Story-wise? Yeah, it's questionable. Gameplay-wise, though, it's not so bad. You manage resources, collect taxes, hire agents, and make big, fateful decisions. Choices where you either die instantly or maybe, survive a tiny bit longer than the devs planned. Basically, if you want to feel utterly powerless and disrespected, give it a shot. A Plague Tale, Innocence. Okay, so the developers clearly planned for you to get hooked here. Why else would they make 2 whole games with absolutely everything nailed? I'm talking story, characters, combat, world, the works. This is actually the only game in the lineup with a slight magical element. Though honestly, I wouldn't even call it straight up magic. Yeah, there are rats. Tons of them. They devour everything in seconds. But it's basically an allegory for the Black Death, which, you know, was a real historical thing. Heads up, if you haven't played this masterpiece or bought it yet, it's 80% off on Steam right now. But I seriously recommend grabbing the bundle at 65% off. Trust me, the second you finish the first game, you'll 100% want to jump into the sequel. The story follows a young woman named Amisha and her little brother Hugo. After their parents die right at the start, they set out into this brutal world searching for a cure for Hugo. The poor kid got infected by the rat plague and is suffering. The world is dark, the story is even darker, but playing it is insanely satisfying. Ancestors' Legacy. Now this one's a bit different. It's a historical real-time strategy game that recreates the brutal, bloody clashes of medieval Europe. Like any classic RTS, you've got 3 ways to play: a pretty decent campaign, skirmish matches against bots, or going online against other players. For those last 2 options, though, we only have 10 maps total. Yeah, just 10, it's not a lot. 4 of them are for 1 versus 1 mode, and the rest are for 4 or 6 players. But trust me, you don't want to jump straight into multiplayer. At least get through the tutorial first, or you are gonna have a really rough time. I gotta highlight one key feature: the camera angle you can switch to during troop clashes. Zoom in close, the interface completely disappears, and you can just watch this incredibly brutal, visceral battle unfold in all its gory detail. You might say, hey, that sounds like the awesome camera in the Total War series. But honestly, compared to this, Total War feels like a cheap knockoff in that department. Here, when you zoom in, the fighting looks like an actual brutal brawl, soldiers clashing, stabbing, reacting. It doesn't look like 2 big blobs of soldiers just awkwardly pushing each other around like in Total War. Total War, sadly, just can't pull that off. The Guild 3. Honestly, I really didn't want to include the Guild 3 here. The game's ratings are rock bottom, mainly because the developers pretty much abandoned it. Even back when the game actually resembled something decent, compared to the second installment, it was still worse. Nevertheless, it's practically one of the only decent medieval life and trading sims out there. You play as an ordinary citizen, you buy buildings, tinker with stuff, make money, you might duel someone if things get heated, or maybe try to woo someone. Basically, it captures that real medieval struggle. It's a real shame they just dropped it completely. Expeditions, Viking. Expeditions, Viking, on the other hand, is seriously cool stuff. You can easily call this a fantastic turn-based role-playing game with tons of player choice. And it's all set in the brutal world of Vikings. It's a very complete project with a gripping story and a really interesting ending. Right from the start of the story, you become the leader of a rundown clan. Your father left you moldy huts, starving followers, and disrespect from neighboring clans. So, you have to not only get your clan back on its feet but also gather a raiding party, outfit a ship, and set off to conquer foreign lands. The beauty of the game and its story is that you personally guide every single step of this process, making all the decisions yourself. Even your goal for raiding Britain can change depending on your own goals and conscience. The gameplay mechanics are solid too. The combat is challenging, realistic, and requires good teamwork and role assignment. Plus, it's really visually satisfying. It's pure pleasure watching archers fire, seeing swords, axes, and daggers swing, even the shield blocks. Each fighter develops their own personality over time, and you genuinely start to care about them. All in all, I highly recommend it. It's a really energetic and well-made game. Mordhau. Alright, Mordhau. How could I have a list like this without Mordhau? It's basically the same thing as Chivalry. Honestly, I have no idea why we need 2 absolutely identical games, but at least the Mordhau devs are actually developing theirs. It's not just your typical medieval hack-and-slash anymore. Recently, those clever folks added a whole mode with monster hordes, crazy weapons, and all kinds of other nonsense. But hey, let's just pretend I never told you that part. We're here for brutal, realistic medieval combat, right? So, let's focus on the beautiful melee fights, the great graphics, and the historically authentic sight of shirtless dudes charging into hand-to-hand combat, or running at knights with nothing but a wooden stick. Honestly, I feel like Mordhau is way bloodier than Chivalry. Probably why I've played it more. And yeah, somehow it just clicks with me more too. But overall, it's just a fun medieval hack-and-slash that's been going strong for a solid 6 years now. Alright, that's it for today. Hope you found something cool here, and if you did, smash that like button and hit subscribe.